Hey friend, we are looking at our assignment tonight, and I recognize that some of you might feel uncomfortable, so here's a little video to help you work through it. This first section, it says use your calculator to help to fill in column 2 first, then fill in columns 3 and 4 without using your calculator. So I got a calculator here, and what am I supposed to do to figure out the calculator display? Well, I'm going to enter in exactly what I see there. 1 million to the second power. After I've done that, I see that the calculator calculates that as 1e to the 12th, or 1e12. And so I'm going to write down exactly what my calculator displayed. So I have, let's see, 1, the number 1, and then e, I'm going to use a lowercase e right now, and then 12. All right? What this means, and we talked about it a little bit, is that it means actually exactly what you see over here, that 1 is being multiplied by 10 to the 12th power. All right, so this e, you can think of it as exponent. 1 times 10 to what exponent? The 12th power. And we can see that if we were to write this out, this number is 1 trillion. So let's take a look at this one. We are going to take our calculator, do exactly the same thing again, take 10,000 this time. When I raise it to the 3rd power, I get the same thing. And then so I can place right here exactly the same thing I had before, 1e and then 12, which we know now means 1 times 10 to the 12th power, and then I get, again, 1 trillion. Let's try one more for good measure. So this number looks pretty large. It is 2 million, and I'm squaring that, so I'm going to multiply 2 million by itself. Or instead of multiplying it by itself, I can raise it to the 2nd power using the handy keys that we have. And I get 4e12. And again, I'm going to put that down just like that. And recognize, what does it mean? Well, if I have 4e to the e12, that means 4 times 10 to the 12th power. And what do you think that's going to be? I'm going to leave it up to you. I think you can figure that part out. Let's take a look at the next set of directions. So when I look at this next set of directions, for number 7 to 10, it asks me to rewrite each of the following numbers in standard notation, and then enter each number into our calculator, and then press the enter key, and then write each number in scientific notation. So here I have the number 456 million, and I know that with my millions I have 6 zeros after, so it should look something like that. So that's my standard notation. When I put it in my calculator, I'm going to put in exactly what I just wrote there. My calculator doesn't do anything. You see what it does? It just gave it to me just like that. Depending on your calculator, it might change that value to scientific notation. So my calculator didn't give it to me. Do you think you can figure it out? I think we can do it together. So if I have 456 million, I know that scientific notation requires me to write one number multiplied by 10 to a power, where this first number has to be between 1 and 10. All right, so I'm going to write that out a little bit better. Let me do this. So I've got my fancy bend arrow here. This number right here that goes here has to be between 1 and 10. So I'm going to take the decimal point. Let me use a red pen for a moment. And I'm going to drag the decimal back as far as I can to the left in order to create a number that is between 1 and 10. And that number is 4.56. But now I have to take into account how many times I pulled that decimal point back. Because in a sense, I'm kind of like dividing by 10, and to reconstitute the number to make it back to what it was, I'd have to multiply by 10 the number of times that I've moved that decimal place over. So I'm going to count that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. So I'm going to hold on to that number in my mind. I'm going to write down my 4.56. Let's try it again, 4.56. And then that number 8 is what's going to go up here. Because in order to make this back into that 456 million, I'm going to have to multiply by 10 to the 8th power. I think what they expected my calculator to do is to show me that same E number like we saw last time, but it didn't work out. So in any case, we can handle this problem. I think we have the skills to do so. So I'm going to leave this example with you and move on to the next set of directions. Oh, this one might be a little tricky as we look at trillions. So remember, trillions are really, really small. So pay special attention to that as you try that at home, all right? All right, let's go ahead and look at the next set of directions. It says solve each problem, then write each answer in scientific notation, then write each answer in standard notation. So now what I want you to see is that the real big deal in terms of, I know it looks really big, don't be afraid. The big deal here is that we're looking at these major digits. These are the digits that are going to matter in terms of our multiplication. So what we can do, we're not using a calculator for this. We can actually do this on our own. We can multiply 154 by 32. All right? What do you think I'm going to tell you to do after you get that answer? We're going to put these zeros right back on. All right? Kind of like if you were to multiply 20 times 3. You know that 2 times 3 is 6. So you multiply 2 times 3 and then you slap that 0 on the end. Or you would say, if I had 20 times 30, still you know that 2 times 3 is 6, and so you'd write 6 and then slap the 2 zeros on the end, 600. You can do this problem. So what I would suggest that you do is to first calculate this. So I'm going to do it our long style. 2 times 5 gives me 10. I carry my 1. 2 times 4 gives me 8, plus 1 more gives me 9. 2 times 1 gives me 2, and I'm done with the 2. Next, I'm going to move on. So I've handled the 2. Let me show you what I did. So this was 2. All of this came from the 2. The next thing I'm going to do is handle my 3, and I'll put my 3 in green, and everything related to the 3 will be down here. And so I'm going to multiply. Let me do this. I'm going to multiply 3 times 5. But wait, when we get to this row, we always put a 0 here. We always have to put a 0 here as a placeholder, because this isn't really 3, it's 30. So 3 times 5 gives me 15. 5 down there. Carry my 1. I'm going to get rid of that 1 and carry my new 1 that represents that 5, that 15. All right. So then 3 times 4 gives me 20. 20 plus 1 is 21. Put my 2 up here. And finally, I'm at the last number. 3 times 1 gives me 3, plus 2 more gives me 5. So now I'm going to add these numbers together, and I get 0. 9 and 5 is 14. Carry my 1, 4, and 5. So I have the number 5,440. However, I've got a lot of extra zeros here. So the first thing we're going to do is write it in standard notation. So I've got 5, 4, 4, 0, and that's just from multiplying these numbers together. And then I'm going to put down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more zeros. This is an awfully big number. I like putting commas right in there to help me distinguish what number this is and figure it out, so I know that this is hundreds, thousands, millions, billions. So I have 544 billion, right? So the next step is to write it in scientific notation, and I'm going to take my 5.44, because I know from the last example the first number here has to be between 1 and 10, and then I'm going to multiply by 10 to a power to compensate for the fact that I've in a sense shriveled up or made this number super duper small. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 to the 11th power. I'm going to count that again, be sure, but it feels kind of right. Sorry, my pen is acting up today. So that's to the 11th power. And that kind of makes sense given the last time we had problems to the 12th power put us in the trillions. So if you go back down one place, sorry about that. If you go back down one place, it makes sense that you're in the 100 billion section. So a lot of these are a little bit more trickier. You can see that you'll be adding up large numbers here, dividing large numbers here, subtracting large numbers, but I want you to try it. I want you to make the effort. Show me some scrap work. Remember, homework is effort, it's not perfection, and we're going to go over it tomorrow in class. I can't wait to see you guys. Do take care. I hope this was helpful. Bye-bye now.